I'd just finished my evening class at the downtown college. The building was settling into its usual nighttime stillness, that low hum of ventilation the only sound breaking the silence. I gathered my papers, shoving them into my bag, notebooks zipped away, eyes drifting to the clock on the wall. Time to go home, time to sink into the couch with some tea and let the exhaustion of the day melt away. Teaching. It fills me up in ways I can't quite explain, but after nights like this, I feel emptied out, like I've poured everything I had into those hours, and now I'm running on fumes. This particular evening hit harder than usual. Still, there's comfort in routine. It carries you through even when you're barely holding on. That's when I noticed her. Maya. She'd stayed behind in the back row, her sketchbook closed, but her eyes steady, waiting. Most students rush out without a second glance, but not her. There was something deliberate in the way she sat there, relaxed but attentive, like she was holding space for something unspoken. I walked over, falling back on my usual opening. "Everything all right? Do you need help with anything?" I expected the typical response. A question about an assignment, maybe concerns about an upcoming exam. Instead, she looked up at me with this openness in her expression, a hint of vulnerability, and said, "I just wanted to thank you for really seeing me." Those words settled into the space between us like ripples on water. You don't hear something like that every day. The sincerity in her voice stopped me cold. The lecture hall seemed to shrink around us. Just the fluorescent lights humming overhead, the faint smell of chalk dust still hanging in the air. I found myself leaning down slightly to meet her at eye level. Something unexpected stirred in me, a mixture of care and curiosity. "Seeing you how?" I asked, trying to sound casual, but my voice came out softer, more genuine than I intended. She paused for just a moment, then leaned forward slightly. "For remembering that I'm here as a person, not just chasing grades. For showing me it's okay to go deeper, to really pay attention." Her words were careful, honest, and they hit me right in the chest. We didn't rush it. The hallway outside grew quieter, the echoes of departing footsteps fading away. Everything else fell into the background. We existed in this suspended moment, stretching out unhurried. That's when it clicked for me. Teaching her had always felt different. She wasn't just going through the motions, she was fully present, engaging with a depth that reflected something I recognized in myself. In that moment, the usual boundaries between teacher and student blurred into something more human, something real and breathing. I let myself smile, a warmth spreading through me that I hadn't anticipated. "I notice more than I let on," I said, keeping my voice light but truthful. Her face broke into this tentative smile, like we'd just acknowledged a shared secret. We held that silence a beat longer, an unspoken understanding settling between us, thick with possibility. In that stretch of time, I sensed the beginning of something significant, unnamed but insistent, the kind that takes root deep. She'd waited until everyone else had gone. And in her waiting, she'd opened a door neither of us knew we'd been circling. Afterward, she stayed in my thoughts. Maya. That conversation played on repeat in my mind like a song I couldn't shake. It wasn't just that she'd stayed behind. It was the intention behind her words, the way her eyes held mine like I was more than just a teacher going through the routine. I kept replaying the details, the way her fingers rested on the edge of her sketchbook, the way her shoulders relaxed once she started speaking. It left me feeling off balance but strangely alive, humming with an energy I hadn't felt in years. A week passed, class ended, and for a split second I wondered if she'd leave like everyone else this time. But no. There she was, leaning casually against a desk, patient as ever. My heart jumped, though I kept my expression steady. "Evening," I said, drawing the word out slightly. "Evening," she echoed, and there it was again. That recognition, that weight in a simple word that meant so much more. In her hands was a worn cloth-bound journal, its edges soft from use. After a breath, she held it out toward me. "Would you mind looking at something?" "Only if it feels right." Her voice dipped lower, testing the waters, and curiosity overrode any hesitation I might have had. I nodded. She passed it to me carefully, like she was handing me something fragile, and I opened it to find pages filled with observations, sketches of city corners, reflections on passing faces, echoes from our class discussions woven throughout. I could feel the late nights poured into these pages, her mind unfurling like a secret garden. I turned the pages slowly, absorbing it all. "This is beautiful," I said quietly, my throat tightening. "You have this gift for capturing what most people overlook, the quiet rhythms everyone else misses." She ducked her head, that earnest flush rising in her cheeks, brushing off the compliment. "Your lessons. They shift things for me," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "It's not about the syllabus or the credits. It's you pushing me to question things, to feel, to wake up. Her honesty wrapped around me, unfiltered and warm. I'd taught countless students, but this felt different. This pierced through. I closed the journal and met her eyes. Maya, that means more than you know. Thank you for trusting me with this. We stood there, rooted in place, the hall's fixtures fading into background noise, the steady drone of ventilation, the musty scent of old books, a custodian's cart rolling somewhere in the distance. It all melted away into our shared bubble, this fragile closeness blooming unspoken. As she turned to leave, something stirred in me. I wasn't ready for the separation. Want to keep talking? I asked. Coffee after tomorrow's class? It came out softer than I'd planned. She stopped, then nodded, her gaze steady. Yeah, she said simply. I'd like that. She slipped out, leaving me alone in the quiet, thoughts racing, chest unexpectedly full, a spark of anticipation flickering bright. That night, lying awake, I turned it over in my mind. How these connections sneak up on you when you're not looking. How a few honest moments can unlock doors you thought were sealed forever. The air had shifted, electric in my veins. Our thread was just beginning to unspool. The next morning, I waited by the entrance, nerves and excitement tangling together. I'd taught for years, stood in front of hundreds of students, but this felt different. Personal, a space carved just for the two of us. Maya walked in with that thoughtful half-smile, and the room seemed to warm, even in its emptiness. We took seats near the window, close enough for easy conversation, far enough to breathe, letting words flow naturally into the pauses. She opened her journal to a drawing of an old weathered bridge we'd discussed once, rain lines capturing its quiet melancholy. I've been thinking about what you said last time, about really tuning into the world, she said gently. It hits me how much I rush past without noticing the textures that shape us. It landed true, mirroring my own drifting thoughts. I nodded. Exactly. Days blur together and we skip the details, the little quirks that make someone who they are. It's a quiet loss. She lifted her eyes, something unguarded swimming there. Wonder, longing, a pull toward the edge of something undefined. I see you, she said. Not the professor routine, the real person underneath, the way you lean in, the heart you bring to everything. My breath caught, warmth blooming steadily. Her voice carried this care, this steadiness that made me want to close the distance, to name the thing we'd both been circling. I steadied myself, fingers twisting the hem of my sleeve. Maya, that's generous. It means the world. She gave a small shrug, but her hands betrayed a flutter of nerves. It's real, she insisted, and that pull between us grew stronger, defying caution. We lost track of time in the conversation. She shared hidden doubts, fragile hopes. I offered pieces of my own tucked-away corners. Each exchange, each held glance, wove us tighter, intimate in its slowness. Midway through, she leaned back with a soft laugh. I've never connected with anyone like this, she confessed, a bashful edge to her words. It washed over me, a reminder that connection defies the boundaries we draw. Bonds thrive on recognition, on showing up fully. I smiled, feeling something thaw inside. And I've never had someone open me up quite like you do. That's just the truth. Guiding her had always felt different, but now it felt vital, alive with shared pulse. Sunlight slanted through the high windows, gilding the scuffed floor in amber light, and I felt the shift, profound, unforced, no rush. Just the bloom of something taking shape, felt deep in our bones even if not yet spoken. As she stood to leave, she paused at the doorway. Tomorrow? Same place? There was a sweet question in her voice. I nodded, quiet thrill running through me. Count on it. The door clicked shut and I sank into my seat, letting it all wash over me. Life throws these curveballs, the gifts you didn't ask for but can't set down. In that echo, I knew this wasn't teacher and student anymore. It was two people easing into view, tender and true. The kind of connection that reshapes your entire map. The weeks unfolded like that. Each after-hours conversation pulled us closer, dissecting readings one day, chasing tangents the next. My walls softened piece by piece. It amazed me that someone I'd met in a classroom could stir feelings I'd let gather dust for so long. One evening, as dusk painted the hall in golden light, shadows stretching long across the floor, Maya stayed behind again, her journal tucked under her arm, but her steps were sure. She faced me, gaze warm and anchored, words flowing with a newfound ease that quickened my pulse. Your point about presence, it stuck with me. Pushed me to own it, not just here but everywhere. And that means being real about us, about how you've become woven into my life. The admission hung there, delicate yet bold. Surprise mixed with thrill, fear threading through joy. Maya, I started, but she raised a palm gently, creating space. Just hear me out. No pressure, just truth. You've changed something deep in me. I sank into a chair, the weight of it settling kindly, and there in the quiet, I owned it too. This unforeseen connection, beautiful in its complexity. Not roles or years dividing us, but the grace of being truly met, held in the open. It's mutual, I said softly. I never saw this coming, but you're part of me now. Essential. Relief lit her face, bright and free, and the words flowed unchecked as twilight claimed the light. The world outside holding its breath. When she finally moved toward the door, it felt like a beginning, not an ending. A fresh chapter unfolding, walking home under streetlights. I marveled at the magic of it. How connection can arrive whisper soft, laced with honor, flipping your lens on everything, yourself, others, the wide unknown. Later, steam rising from my cup in the dim lamplight, I traced it all back from that first spark, after class, to this quiet revolution. What started as casual conversation had swelled into revelation, a reminder that hearts hold endless room for the unforeseen, for bonds that bloom beyond expectation. Maya had waited until the crowd thinned. Her stillness was a gift of time and truth. In it, she taught me the quiet power of showing up, of being vulnerable. She rewrote my story not by shattering it, but by expanding it, illuminating connections I'd overlooked. And as that realization sank in, a smile pulled free, grateful for the surprise, for these raw human threads that turn the ordinary luminous. Some connections announce themselves loudly, others whisper their way in, asking for time, for patience, for the courage to see what's really there. This was one of those quiet ones, and it changed everything.